Welcome to the Maryland Assistive Technology Program, Department of Disabilities, session on assistive technology in education. The Maryland AT program provides assistive technology services across the state, including equipment demonstrations, loans, equipment reuse, financing, and training. We are a free statewide service through the Maryland Department of Disabilities. What is assistive technology? Assistive technology is any device, a setting, such as a setting in an operating system on a computer, an app, or even software that helps people with disabilities be more independent, thrive, and it increases functional abilities. There's no one size fits all when it comes to assistive technology. Different disabilities require different assistive technologies. Welcome to today's session on assistive technology in education and how AT can support learning goals. Assistive technology can be used to personalize the learning environment for students. Depending on that student's disability, different devices or resources can be made available to help them reach those educational goals that are similar or the same as their peers. What is educational technology versus assistive technology? Educational technology is tech that's used in the classroom for all students to access. Sometimes that technology includes features that make it usable for most of the students. That's sometimes referred to as universal design for learning. But assistive technology is the use of a specific device that removes barriers for an individual student. It is a specific or customized solution to reduce the burden of difficult skills and to bolster educational independence. Assistive technologies are often used to meet the individual needs of students receiving special education services or even 504 accommodations. Assistive technology can be included in the IEP. When thinking about assistive technology and a student, there is a framework that has been established. It is called the SET framework. It stands for Student, Environment, Task, and Tool. The SET framework is used by educators and practitioners in the school setting to really better understand what the educational needs are for the student, what that environment looks like, and what might help that student reach those educational goals. So S in the SET framework stands for student, and that represents the student's strengths, weaknesses, and their current performance in their different content areas. So you might look at their reading, writing, math skills, what they are strong in, where they need support. And then we think about E. That's the environment. How is the classroom physically set up? What materials and equipment are used in the classroom? And how is the instruction provided for the student? Is it in small groups? Is it whole class? Is it individual? All of those pieces will impact what sort of tools you may want to consider for your student. The first T in the SET framework stands for tasks. What is the class expected to be able to do? And which tasks are essential for your student to be successful? Once you understand the student's strengths, weaknesses, and current performance, once you have an understanding of what the environment is for that student and what tasks they need to accomplish or achieve to have and reach those same educational goals as all of their peers, then you start thinking about the tools that can help that student. And the IEP team will consider a range of assistive technology, from low tech to mid tech to high tech. And we're going to talk about what that means. Low tech is usually equipment that does not require a battery or programming. It can be something like a specialized grip for a pencil. It could be a typing aid, so something that a student holds to help them type if they don't have full dexterity with their fingers. It can be a page holder. It can be adapted scissors. Low tech is pretty straightforward. It often doesn't cost very much money, if any money at all. Mid tech are sort of the run-of-the-mill, easy to access, generally not very expensive things. Calculators, audiobooks, graphic organizers. And then there's high tech. High tech usually requires a level of skill. It's usually involves electrical access, and it requires some training oftentimes. That can be a communication device for someone who's nonverbal. It can be a screen magnification program that both highlights as it reads, magnifies the content. It can be speech to text, and it can also be text to speech. High tech is a whole range of different things. No matter what your student is using, whether it's low tech, mid tech, or high tech, it's important to include those solutions in the IEP. When you evaluate your student using the SET framework and you understand how a tool can help them achieve those educational goals that are set forth in the lesson, in the class, based on their grade, then you can think about how you integrate that AT into the IEP. And this is important to do. That IEP, that individualized education plan, demonstrates that assistive technology supports the educational goals, and it describes how it will contribute to achieving those goals. You can document it in virtually any and every section of the IEP as long as it is relevant to that section. And it is best practice to write in the features of the tech that's needed rather than specifying a device name. The reason being that if a student moves from one school to a next or from one district to another district, if they don't have access to that specific device they were using previously, as long as you have outlined those necessary features in the IEP, then you can work with the school to identify an equivalent device to meet their needs. Now, there are some common myths around assistive technology in IEPs. One is that an AT evaluation must be conducted prior to including it in the IEP. That is not true. In many instances, there's no evaluation necessary for certain low to mid-tech devices. You may not need an evaluation for a high-tech device. If you're utilizing something like text-to-speech, so a program that reads the content out loud from the computer, it may be obvious that the student would benefit from that. You don't always have to have an AT evaluation, and it is not required to write it into the IEP. Another myth is that AT devices are only for use in the academic classroom at school. Again, not accurate. AT devices can be used in the cafeteria, after school for clubs, in aftercare. It can be used in any way that supports the student throughout the school day. Some school districts allow students to utilize their devices throughout the summer. That is a question that must be asked with your individual school. Another myth is that AT noted or included in the IEP should only be the high-tech options. Again, not true. AT, whether it's low tech, mid tech, or high tech, should be written into the IEP, and that should not be left out. If a student benefits from a talking calculator, which would be considered mid tech, you don't want to leave that out of the IEP if that's going to help them reach their educational goals when it's related to math. An AT device and or service that works for one child will work for all. That is not true. That is a common myth that if a student who has a reading disability or a vision impairment utilizes one type of device, then the theory is that other students who have similar disabilities should also utilize that specific device. But we know that that is not true. There is no one size fits all. You go back to that SET framework. You need to understand your individual students' strengths, weaknesses, goals, the individual environment that that student is involved in, and you need to understand what their tasks are. Tasks will be different from class to class, from student to student. Return to that SET framework to understand and consider the best assistive technology solutions. And a common and often very debilitating myth is that the use of AT lowers a child's motivation because it does the work for them. Again, that is not true. Assistive technology is to supplement, not supplant, their learning needs. Assistive technology builds the bridge so that they are not struggling to get to that end goal, which is understanding a lesson or an educational intent. It is important to understand that that assistive technology bridges them to meet those goals consistent with their peers who do not need assistive technology or who do not need additional educational services. This is a lovely pinwheel of a range of assistive technology devices. There's all types of AT that can support students. It can support organizations, study aids, brainstorming, note-taking, communication for students who may be nonverbal or have limited verbal abilities, AT to support vision, hearing. There's a lot of assistive technology out there, and you use your SET framework to figure out what AT is will best support your students. So some examples of assistive technology that could be used in the classroom. Adapted keyboards. These could be ergonomic keyboards. They could be high contrast keyboards. They could be keyboards in alphabetical order or one-handed. They can be keyboards on a screen, so not a physical keyboard at all. There's all kinds of ways that a student can interact with their computer or their technology in the classroom. Adapted keyboards are a common way to support those students. They're reading pens and smart pens. Those can be used for both students with disabilities and English language learners. Noise blocking headphones. If noise is a distraction that keeps your student from successfully completing tasks. Assistive listening devices, which are individual amplification systems. So for a student who wears hearing aids or who has concerns with easy distractions, an assistive listening device can create an amplification system for them that allows them to hear and focus better. There are lots of different apps for all sorts of disabilities, whether it be vision, learning cognition, communication, hearing, lots of options out there to support students. You can use live captioning in the classroom and so much more. So what do we do here at the Maryland Assistive Technology Program to support educators, parents, and students who want to access assistive technology and try things out? First, we are a free service. We serve all ages and we serve all disabilities. Anybody can come to our assistive technology program and try out a range of devices, whether it's keyboards, assistive listening devices, apps for specific disabilities, whatever it is that you are interested in, we will have options for you to try out. So we run 9 assistive technology libraries across the state. These are places where there is physical equipment for folks to come in, get their hands on, and try. Our primary library is in Baltimore, and it is the Schuler Assistive Technology Library, located in Northeast Baltimore City. We have additional libraries across the state. If somebody wants to come and try out a piece of equipment, we ask that you call or email us first, and we will schedule an appointment and make sure that we have a variety of devices for you to try out. If you can't make it into the office or to our library, that is totally okay. We will set up a virtual appointment with you. We conduct the AT consultations, AT demonstrations, and device loans. So again, we'll meet with you either in person or virtually, whatever your preference. Once you've tried some things out with us or seen them over our virtual meet, you can borrow it for up to 4 weeks at a time. You can try it at home, you can try it at school, you can try it at work. And remember, no one size fits all. So when you meet with us, we will sit down and utilize that set framework, whether you're a student or not. We'll use that set framework to best understand what tasks are at hand, what challenges exist, and how we can find the right device to support you. We have a lot of AT trainings and events that we host across the state. We host webinars all the time, and our website lists our training calendar for the year. We also host events including statewide inclusive gaming events. We have mobile gaming kits that we loan out to organizations and schools. We host a month of financial resiliency webinars for families and individuals who have disabilities. And we've hosted a series called Technology Talks and Tours. We also run a high-tech AT reuse center. This is a great way to get equipment if you cannot afford to purchase it. We take items that are donated to us, can be eye gaze systems, adapted computers, video magnifiers, desktop magnifiers, eye devices, amplified telephones, communication devices, you name it. We have a huge variety. We have an online database where you can look and browse our equipment that we currently have available. For folks that cannot afford to buy something new, they can reach out to us. We can conduct that consultation and make sure that we're placing the best sort of device we can in your hands so you have access to it free of charge. We also run a 3D printing fabrication program. We have our catalog online where you can check out different items that we print, including reading guides, grips, can holders, bag carriers, overlays for iPads, all kinds of items that we print out, and we can send it to you free of charge. We also run an AT financial loan program. For folks that need to purchase equipment, you can certainly utilize our program to finance much needed devices. That can be hearing aids, it can be computers, it can be higher cost items like home modifications or vehicles. What we encourage is follow the map. How to get the assistive technology that you need. First, you identify that challenge. What are you having difficulty with? In the AT and education realm, that is really about the student. What's going to help support them in their educational goals? So for educators, for parents, once you know what those challenges are, you can reach out to us. Reach out to the AT program. You can schedule a consultation with one of our specialists on staff. You can borrow equipment for that student. Let them try it out in the classroom. Collect data, see if it works, see if it's supporting them in their educational goals. Once a decision is made on what equipment's going to best support that student, then the school can work to purchase the device. If there are issues with funding or providing that device, you can certainly speak with us and we can guide individuals through that process. If the family wants to purchase a device and have it available for their own use throughout the summer and outside of the school setting, then they can certainly reach out to us and we can help them figure out how to get that. It is important to work with the AT program so that you can borrow those devices and try them before purchasing. That is our goal and our hope when supporting individuals and particularly supporting students with disabilities. And there are so many resources for families and for educators to support them in this process. This webinar includes a series of links to different resources, including the AT Toolbox for Learning Differences, the MSDE Parent Series Guides, a link to the Center for Parent Information and Resources, a link to audio description and captioning through the Caption Media program, and to CITES, the Center on Inclusive Technology and Education Systems. There are many, many resources that can support students, families, educators. And we want you to reach out to us so we can guide you through that process. We are the Maryland AT program. You can find information about us on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and you can read lots of posts from our program on our blog, Where It's At. If you would like to schedule a consultation or like to visit our library, if you would like to borrow a device, we encourage you to reach out to us. You can call us at our 1-800-832-4827 phone number, or you can reach us by email at mdtap.general@maryland.gov. Or you can visit us online, www.mdtap.org. This has been a presentation by the Maryland AT program.